This is my more than 15-year-old John Deere X-729 lawn tractor. It's seen better days, let's just say. It's got a lot of hours on it, and it needs service badly, and I've been putting it off. So it's raining on and off today, kind of intermittent thunderstorms, things like that. So I'm going to knock this out today. So I'm going to warm up the oil to get it drained. And get it turned around. I got it facing toward the garage door end because the exhaust is on the front of it. Hear that? How it's like missing when it idles? I think it's kind of choking, the carburetor's kind of clogged or something. Alright, we have it up to operating temperature, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to change the oil in these things, because you got to get way up in here and burn your hands off to get to the oil plug. See, it's way, I don't even think you, not even sure you can even see it, but it's way down in there. There's a little bolt you have to unscrew that releases the oil through this tube, and I got the pan kind of propped up down in the bottom there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but we'll try. One of the hardest parts. Is opening this valve up here. Alright, it's actually a 10 millimeter, and you have to use a wrench. You can't use a socket because there's just no room in there. There's no room in there to even get a socket, so you just gotta kind of use a wrench. A little bit at a time. I think it stops when it's all the way open. All right, while that's draining, let's get this off. This oil change kit that I bought from John Deere, once a year, usually in the middle of the winter time where they hope no one will buy it, they give like a 15 to a 25% off of oil change packages for their lawnmowers, and sometimes tractors, and sometimes even all John Deere service parts. So I take advantage of it every year when I can and get the oil change kit in the middle of the winter time. And here's the kit. The blades obviously are sold separately, so let's see what we get in here. Oil's still draining a little bit. Here is the replacement for this, which is now trash. Goes in the garbage. And we'll put a new one on here. Alright, now we can't forget the oil filter. Oil filter, where is that located at? I forget. There it is. Right there. Let's get that off of there. Now we can use whatever we want to get it off, just not to put it back on again. We have to make sure that we just hand tighten to put it back on. So we just need to give it a little nudge here to get it off. A lot of people punch with these really tight ones, they'll just punch a screwdriver through it and pull it. But tight spaces, third time's a charm. There we go. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. What a mess. And that oil filter goes right on the right side of the engine, or the foot side of the engine. And now we'll reverse the process. We'll close this oil drain bolt. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's, yeah, up there, way up there. So we'll just turn around our little wrench here the other way and tighten it up. We finally got that tightened down. Pain in the butt. We got our 10W30 John Deere oil. And we'll just screw the oil filter on here hand tight. That should do it. And we'll fill it up. 2 quarts. Now we walked around to the other side to make sure there's none coming out. The other end where we let the oil out, sometimes it's hard to tell if that bolt is completely closed or not, so we have to make sure we check that. Two quarts. I hope that's, that's what came with the kit. That's what I'm putting in. I guess we'll check it after we start it, right? That's what you're supposed to do. All right. Oil filter, oil change, air intake filter change. All right. Now we gotta change the gas filter. I didn't change this gas filter the last time because I got lazy. So we gotta do it this time. think one of the clips is even busted on it. That's why I got all this electrical tape on here. Nothing's ever easy, is it, boys? Finally, this retainer was very fragile after all those years, and it broke, so I'm just hoping it still will work. Guess we'll find out soon enough. Hopefully it won't matter. So last thing for the engine, spark plugs. Then we have to move on to the blades. This kit cost me about $150 for everything. To have John Deere do this job for you, $350. So yeah, there's that. This will start her up. Make sure the gas isn't leaking because that clip broke. And check the oil. Okay, we just aired up the tires. 22 pounds in the front, 10 in the back. And now we're going to change the blades. That'll be it till next year. It's purring a lot better than it did. Safety first, right? Want to make sure that don't fall on us when we're under there. Here's the thing, guys. When you service your own equipment, like I do, you don't really do it that often. Like this, for example, once a year. Plus, you gotta kind of sort of keep an eye on things and keep your fluids topped off and things like that. But besides that, you do a once a year. I think you should do at a minimum. Some people wait a couple of years, but at a minimum, I think you should do once a year complete service to your equipment. And when you do that, you're not really prepped up on it. You really don't. Every year in and year out, for example, there's always something that comes up, like the clips on the fuel filter change, where the fuel filter goes down into the fuel lines. They busted, but it didn't matter because nothing leaks and it still works. But I still have to replace them. And another thing is the bolts to get the mower blades off every year are really, really hard to get off. And I end up using a pry bar or a piece of steel or something to hold the mower blades in place, because when you're trying to unbolt the blades from the mower deck, the blades turn with the bolt, so you have to hold the blades separately from the bolt to get them to come out. And sometimes it's just not that easy. Sometimes it's really hard. And sometimes the bolts just are so heated and just stuck on there that you just need help to get them off. But I persevered through it. I pushed through it. You know, I used a big piece of steel. I tried to use a pipe. I used several different wrenches. And I finally found the one 18 millimeter socket wrench. It's like a specialty wrench that finally busted that bolt loose, and I was able to get the blades replaced. So when you're kind of a do-it-yourself guy, you always run into these problems because you don't have all the replacement parts readily at hand, like, for example, your mechanics do, or like at the John Deere service center or the Kubota service center, any place that happens to service your machines. If you don't do it yourself, they have all the replacement parts right there, right ready to go. Plus, they have the experience of doing this sort of thing day in and day out and day in and day out. So they probably have specialty tools, and they know, for example, to hold the mower blades in place while they lift them up also on the lifts they have, and they're definitely not using a jack and jack stands like I am. So don't beat yourself up when you do this stuff by yourself. Just push through it, use the tools that you have, and you'll get it done, just like I did. Always make sure before you start fooling around with those blades, you unplug your spark plugs. You don't want to start your lawnmower when you're under it. Although these later years, I'm not so sure you can, but just in case. Okay, this thing is purring just like the day it was bought, just like the day I bought it. 16 or 17 years ago. It's been a long time. And I kind of should have been up on it a little more. I noticed it was running really bad. And I still ran it, and I ran it, and I ran it, and yeah. I got lazy, so I'm going to check the oil, make sure nothing's leaking, which it looks fine. The one extra thing that I would do, other than a complete service like that, is I would get yourself your leaf blower, like this, or whatever leaf blower that you have. And I think this is important, okay? You need to take it and just blow as hard as you can up in this area around where all your air gets sucked in. And just blow all that dirt out of there, because that is probably what was clogging. My engine was overheating, but not completely, but it was running hot. And that was the cause of it. It was just picked up a lot of debris, and it just was sticking to the outside of the radiator, and it was sticking on the inside of all these vents here that go all the way around like this. And you just need to blow all of that dirt out. When I put that leaf blower up in there, you should have seen the dirt that it blew out. I wish I would have shown you the dirt that it just blew out of there. And that was definitely the cause of a lot of my running hot issues. But she purrs like a kitten now, and she runs great. So, hey you guys, see you on the next one. That's the only little rag I could find. It's so clean, you can't even see it. Just right. Or you can just barely see it. Let's listen to it purr now.